randomly. I mean, complete random. I mean, that kind of stuff doesn't historically happen to someone like me. You know, so it's not like they're touring again. You know, the phone should be ringing any minute now.
Yeah, I'm just going to give Mick a ring. And
I just, Sir Mick, and see what dates he wants us to do. You know, like that doesn't happen. And I remember I was in the lobby of the hotel in Paris, and we were about to head over to the gig, and my manager was traveling with us that week. Comes down, and he goes, "Listen, I know it's your month off. Would you have any interest in opening up for the Rolling Stones in Seattle on May 15th?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Tell the band. Yeah, we'll do it. And it was great. They were super great to all. I mean, again, it's top down. You know how organizations run. It's top down. I mean, it's from Mick and Keith and Ronnie to the stage manager. They're all just super pro, you know, and super nice people. They're not the Rolling Stones for nothing. They didn't get there by accident, and they invented it. You know, I mean, like all those. You know, anybody who's touring now at that level or even slightly smaller, the way they do the production and everything, they invented it. And, you know, because they've been doing it for so long at that level that they've come up with these things that like are now industry standard, but they've been doing it for 50 years.
Do they kind of keep to themselves, or is there intermingling happening?
They were gracious enough to invite me up on stage after sound check. I met them all. I met Mick, Keith, Ronnie. I know Bernard. I know Daryl and Chuck, and you know, they're some of the support players that are in the band. And so I knew all those guys. But you know, you don't go up to Mick Jagger and be like, "Hey, man, thanks for having me." You know, it's like there's a hierarchy. You do that with me if you're opening up for me. It's like, "Hey, there's that idiot Bonamassa," you know. So. But no, it was super nice, and but they set up. I mean, like they set up their own world. It's a city. I mean, every pass has very specific areas which you can go, and which you can't go. There's very few AAAs out there. You know, access all areas, which is for those who are not familiar with the industry terms. But it was really interesting because. You know, even some of the people that were in charge of the stage weren't allowed in certain areas of the backstage, you know, and I don't think I've seen that many semis in my life. I think we counted 50, and I think they have 100 trucks that drag it all around. And, you know, I bitch and moan about 3 trucks and 4 buses. I'm like, I'll never do that again. You know? I
know you have a tendency to be a little self-deprecating, but I really want to isolate. And you said, things like this don't happen to someone like me. They don't. What does someone like mean?
They don't. I mean...
What is someone like you?
I'm 35 years in the business, okay? So anytime the traditional mainstream music business knocks on our door, it's a surprise. It really is a surprise because we've made our own weather system. You know, we do everything in-house. We do our own promotion. I mean, you talk to our publicist, you know, and like that's like one of the few outside things that we do. You talk to John, you know, but he's one of the few people that don't work in the office, you know. And, you know, things like just random normal things that you would think someone who's sold as many records as I have and been around and done what I've done, you would think it would be like an everyday occurrence. It just doesn't happen. Like for some reason they forget my number or something. It just never had, you know. So, and we just go on our merry way and keep going. And it's been great and very successful. So when we get the things like this, or, you know, like a hip festival will call us and be like, "Are you interested in playing?" Like we have to double check and go, "You know, you're calling the office of Joe Bonamassa here. Like, would you like a sizzle reel to look at?" I mean, just make sure you're talking about the right people, because it doesn't really happen. And it's not, and it's not a self-deprecating thing. It's a fucking fact. Okay, you may have to bleep me out, but it's a fact, and that's fine. You know, I mean, I've had the most number one blues albums in the history of the Billboard charts. Ask me how many times my band has been asked to play and to promote a record on The Tonight Show. 0. Never asked. I've sat in with the band, but I've never been on The Tonight Show. I mean, I've done them all. I've sat in with the band, but they've never asked us to like do a song. You know, so if they ever, the only person to ever have us on, God bless him, is Conan O'Brien. And, you know, but that's just, you know, so when you say it's like, why is it a surprise? Because it is a surprise. And it's like if they called tomorrow and said, hey, listen, you want to play your new song with the Widdly Willies on The Tonight Show, I'd be like, are you sure you're calling the right guy? Because we're 35 years into this thing and it never happens.
Conan is a guitar guy, so he's got a special affinity for what you do, I would assume.
And a super nice guy. I mean, and very, very appreciative of, you know, I mean, the life he's led. And, you know, I mean, as a Simpsons fan, I mean, to meet him, you go monorail. I mean, you have to, I mean, he wrote that episode and he was one of the OGs, you know, in the room writing those classic season 1 through 5 or 7, you know. I mean, really the first 10 seasons were just, you know, high water, perfect. And, so, you know, I mean, and then how I got the gig on the Late Show, and then how, what, you know, the whole story and everything else. And during the pandemic and during that whole time when he was without gig, you know, he took care of all of his people, all the people that moved out from New York to LA. I mean, like, you have to respect, I mean, he's such a top tier guy in this business, which, you know, not a lot of people are like that, you know. I mean, it's not, you know, he has my, you know, always will have my respect for that.
What's your sense of why there isn't more interest in that world? Is it a blues thing? Is it a you thing?
It's a me thing. Sometimes you just have to accept that. It's not a blues thing because other blues acts get invited. It's a me thing, and that's fine. I'm totally fine with it. I swear to God, I'm totally fine with it because we work so much. And we do so much of these things, and I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I mean, I'm at best an E, F, or G level celebrity. Okay, if I go into a guitar shop, maybe I'll be recognized, maybe. Okay, but I'm not getting recognized on the street, and people are not. You know, very, very rarely does that happen. And I'm so cool with that because that's not why I do this. I'm a guitar nerd that's done well for himself, and you know, I'm probably as famous for my guitar collection as I am for my music, and that's I totally fine. I mean, like, I wouldn't change a thing about my life, and I know people that have Grammys and all that other shit that would really trade it all to fill the Albert Hall 2 nights in a row. You know what I mean? And so you can't even look at it as the grass is always greener. You just look at it as you're a lucky SOB and just keep going. And if you're doing what you love, how you love it, and how you and for the right reasons, then happy to not participate in the other stuff.
You get a lot of shit online. Why is that?
It's me. It's totally me, and it goes back to school. I have an easy name to make fun of, and that's totally okay, because I will say this, and I'll get more shit online when this airs. I'm going to tell you this right now, and I tell this to my friends. What keeps it all sane is when someone on social media wants to take a shot or something like that. That's totally fine. And then if you want to go down those rabbit holes of like who that person is, they at some point think that their opinion means something in the grand scheme of things, while they armchair quarterback and not participate in the game. And I always look at them, it's like, listen, man, you can say what you want, but we're not peers. We are not peers. Okay? I've been doing this since I've been 11, okay, internationally. And we're not peers. It's, if you have an opinion about my music, that's great. If you want to get in a cheap shot, that's great. While you're doing that, I'll be working on furthering my career and enjoying my fucking great life that I built for myself. So you want to waste time on that, making fun of my name or blah, 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 or trying to overanalyze. And my favorite comment is like, I went to Joe's show and he went on late and ended early. You never were there. You were never there. You can ask the millions of fans that come, what's their biggest complaint sometimes, and what's one of the things that they respect most about the gig? They go, Bonamassa starts on time, like 8 o'clock. I don't care. I don't care if the building's on fire. We're on at 8. Okay? And we play 2 hours and 10 minutes, regardless if I have the flu or not. And so when people say that kind of stuff, they're engaging this kind of communal mob mentality just to make them feel like they're part of something, which they're making it up. And the ones that say I'm an arrogant asshole never met me. Can I be? Absolutely. Okay? But generally, the people who know me and who've met me go, he's a down-to-earth whatever. And that's fine. But we're not peers because you don't participate in the game. You comment on the game. It's much different on the other side of the fence. And it's much harder to get to the other side of the fence. All of them want to get there, but just don't have the wherewithal, the talent, or the chutzpah to take a chance on themselves. A lot of people are very talented. I don't want to say they don't have talent, but I'm just saying a lot of people just don't want to take a chance on themselves. And that's a really, it's a career killer.
I've been writing online for a long time. My job is as a journalist, and the one cardinal rule that they always tell you is don't engage, is like never read the comment section. And there was a period, it seemed like 2022, I think, when you went offline.
You know, when they threaten to burn your house down and they threaten to come up and you know, actually do harm where I have to respond, then I'm out. It's supposed to be fun. And it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be, music is supposed to be enjoyed. Okay. It's not supposed to be argued about. Okay. There's people that are very successful, more successful than I. The music doesn't do it for me, but I will never tell them. And not one of them have ever said anything to my face. Ever. Not a single person's come up and said, I don't like you for X, Y, and Z reasons. Not a single person. And that tells you the keyboard warriors and this, coupled with some liquid courage, sometimes it really it turns people into not who they really are, because they're probably very nice people that tend to just have a chip on their shoulder about what they don't have or what they don't. You know, it's like, you know, the guitar collecting thing is another one. It's like like you would do the same thing if you could. So don't you know piss out my creative campfire because you're jealous. And you know, I don't have to apologize for the hard work and sweat equity that I put into this to get this far. I will never, ever. I'll apologize for a lot of things. My overplaying, my pitchy vocals. I apologize for it all. But I won't apologize for the hard work, because that's what it takes. And it still takes that. You know, there's no days off for me.
That's another thing that I've noticed with you is you're incredibly self-critical.
Mm-hmm.
You are, in a lot of ways, your own biggest critic, it seems.
I can't listen to myself. Like, bless their heart. Like, I'll hear myself on, I host a show on Sirius XM, and like, I'll have it on in the car, and like, one of my songs come on. And bless them. Thank you for playing me, Sirius XM. I really appreciate it. I have to turn it off. I can't listen to it. It's just.
Yeah, well, it's probably not easy for anyone to listen to themselves, I assume.
Well, yes and no. There are people that go that when they listen to themselves, they go, "Oh my God, that's the greatest." I mean, they just get this well of self congratulate,
just crying at your own songs.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's you can just feel it. It's like it comes off of them, the vibe. Me, I can't stand it. I cannot stand myself. And but I also can't question it, because somebody likes it. So what I've done, it hits a nerve with some people. Not all, but it does. And so, you have to be hypercritical to get better. If you just go, "Oh, we're great," It doesn't matter. It's you're going to plateau, and you're going to be very let's just say you're going to be making records for one, and that's you, and you don't want to do that.
You bring up a really good point, which is, and it's something that I've tried to get better at myself. My impulse when somebody says they like something that I did is to be self-effacing and, oh, you like, that wasn't my best thing. Why is that the thing you like? But I think an important part of maturing is like learning how to take a compliment.
Yes. And I always say thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate, if, random, you always have to be very conscious, it's like I said, I'm like an E, F, or G level celebrity, but you do get recognized, and sometimes in random places, the mechanic, or the clerk at Walgreens, and when you hand the credit card and they get the receipt back, and they're like, oh, I really like that song, Slow Gin, and you go, oh, okay, thank you. What else can you say? I'm not going to go into a diatribe about the new, you got to listen to the new version. I sing it much better than I did. It's like none of that. It's like it obviously hit a nerve, and it means something to someone. And I'm so thrilled that anybody even knows my name. It goes back to that first question, like why are you surprised people call? Because they didn't, and they still don't.
Maybe that's the perfect level of fame wherein each time somebody comes up to you and says something nice, it's like a nice surprise.
It always is. It always is a nice surprise. It still blows me away being recognized randomly throughout the globe, like in other countries. You're like, I'm from Utica, New York, population 50,000. And to come out of that kind of depressed area in upstate New York.
The world famous steamed hams are from, right?
Yes. It's an Albany thing, though.
It's an Albany term, yeah.
It's Superintendent Chalmers is from Utica. Principal Skinner is from Albany, according to that episode, which is a classic episode. It's the take on Pulp Fiction. But, the steamed hams are, it's a regional dialect.
It's an Albany expression, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing you said previously that jumped out at me is, it sounds almost like your operation is, albeit a smaller scale version of what the Stones are doing, in that you've almost had to build up this own industry for yourself.
I would suggest that model for anybody. I would suggest, investing in yourself, believing in yourself, not in an arrogant way, but in just, if you don't believe in what you're doing, it's hard to convince others to believe in it. You can't waffle. You can't, if some kid hands me a demo and says, it's like, okay, I like track 1 and don't listen to track 2, but track 3 is really good and don't listen to track 1. I said, why not? Why are you doing this? Be proud of everything you put on that CD, and don't put an asterisk on anything, because sometimes your least favorite track is the hit. I've seen it happen in my own records. Oh my God, like songs that I don't want on the album, take it off. I hate it. Are the fans' favorite? So what do I know? I'm not Clive Davis. I'm not an A&R guy. You know what I mean? So you have to believe in yourself. And, we do everything in-house. We are our own record company. We are our own touring company, promotion, marketing. Everything comes out of a little office in Deerfield Beach, Florida. And it's because of that independence that we can do anything we want when we want. It's the difference between trying to steer a cruise ship, down a canal, or a racing boat. You know what I mean? You're much more nimble and able to pivot and react and do things, as opposed to if you have to go through this litigious machine, of a major label or big management, and they have to have a meeting about the meeting, and then another meeting to sum up what the first meeting was about, and then the fourth meeting to remind everybody what they're talking about and which artist you are. You know what I mean? And by the time they have all those meetings, the opportunity is come and gone, or there's just, it's not the way I like to do it. Because if we want to, it's like it wasn't even a blink of an eye. It's like, hey, you want to do the Stone Kids? Sure. We're going to lose a boatload of money? Sure. Okay, no problem. And we'd do it again, You
lost money on the Stones gigs?
Oh, yeah. 90% pay cut. But it's fine. It's fine. Everybody gets the same. Everybody gets the same. And that's it. And you know why? Because they don't need us. You are window dressing. It doesn't matter who you think you are. You're window dressing. When they come out, they opened up with "Start Me Up." You are forgotten. I don't care what you did out there. We got a standing ovation. Okay, we are forgotten. They're like, "Who's that guy?" Whatever. Who cares? There's Mick and Keith.
In hearing you describe the process of putting Blues Deluxe out into the world, you mentioned that it came on the heels of being dropped by two majors, and you described it as being your last shot. I mean, is that hyperbolic in a sense?
We needed something to connect. We needed proof of concept. And my first record connected a little bit. Second record connected a little bit. The live thing that we did connected more, because our second record had a free DVD in it from a place called Pierre's in Fort Wayne, Indiana. The only place I could draw a crowd, except for Austin, Texas. And that connected. And I was like, why do they like that more than the slicker production? So we made Blues Deluxe, which is basically an extension plus 4 of an average, a live gig that we would have been doing in like Des Moines, Iowa. It was almost like a recorded version. I'm not comparing the two, but it was the same kind of concept. It was like what Stevie Ray Vaughan did with El Macombo. Like if you ask Chris Lane, it's like that was our gig. That was a gig in Toronto. Okay, it just happened to be this magical capture of them at peak, 3-piece, and everybody went, "Oh my God, one of the best ever!" And it's because they had, they had 200 shows on those songs. And that's kind of what we did with Blues Deluxe. We had 200 shows on Blues Deluxe, the song. We played it once in the studio. It's the live version. There was no like, well, what do you want to do? It's like, start it. We got 7 days and $10,000 to make this thing and mix it. So it was just a capture of most of our live show and then a few other songs that we recorded, and it connected because it was exactly who I was at the time. There was no, well, we need short AAA poppy things that's going to, hopefully they'll play them, next to, other artists in the AAA format. And I'm like, AAA, I listen to the stuff on AAA. I'm like, that's not who I am. I'm much, edgier than that. And so we just made the record we wanted to make. And next thing you know, we start selling it out the back of our van at shows. And we got a little distribution company out of South Florida called Alliance Entertainment to put it out. And next thing you know, we sold a lot of records. And we're like, holy crap, look how much money you can make selling these by yourself. And then we did another one. And then we did another one. And now we own 50 titles in our catalog. And it's okay.
I'm always curious when people have success early on. For some people it's a good thing, for others maybe not so much. And you were out there about as early as anyone gets.
11. Yeah, I was 11 years old.
11 and playing. Obviously, in plenty of careers, playing with B.B. King would be like the apex for a lot of people. That sort of level of success and excitement, ultimately, was that beneficial for your career, or did it work against you?
No, I don't think anything worked against me. I think there's. I always say this: when you're child that has a special skill set. I wouldn't say I was a prodigy. I would say I was good for my age, or I could hang. And there was like 3 or 4 of us that were all kind of the same age. There was Derek Trucks is a few years younger than me, and then there was Eric Gales, who was a few years older than me. I was like the 12, 13-year-old. And there was a kid from Australia named Nathan Cavallari, who's still around, and he had some real headwinds because he had cancer as a kid, and beat it, and then the next thing you know, here he is. But this is pre-internet, so it was all word of mouth. There's a kid up north, kid in Memphis, kid in Jacksonville, and then a couple years later, there was people like Kenny Wayne Shepherd and Johnny Lang, and they were like 15, 16 coming out, killing it. All of that gets you ready to when you turn 18, because when you turn 18, you're just an adult playing in a very adult world. You're not good for a kid. You're not the kid. You're an adult, and now you're competing against the whole world. You're not like, oh,
you're not precocious anymore.
No, and you're not a borderline novelty act. And it's very, very difficult to tread the line and become a legit artist when you're 12 years old, because it's hard. I think Michael Jackson is one of the few people that were like legit artists at 12. And he had no problems after that. I mean, he was very stable. It's very stable, very talented. But being a showbiz kid, I was always told, and I always understood that when I turned 18, it's you against the world, and nobody cares. You just have to make them care, and that was really what happened. When I turned 18, I was like, I did a record on a major label. I didn't have anything going on, and my career could have been over, or I could have just moved to Nashville and started playing with other people, side gigs, but I decided to learn how to sing and become a solo artist, and that was it. That decision, and that took time. That took 3 or 4 years for it to kind of get going, and then luckily Michael Kaplan signed me to Epic Records and introduced me to a guy named Tom Dowd, and in the late 90s, 98, 99, and we worked for almost 3 years together before the record came out, and then boom, there it was, my first album, and then I got dropped, and then I got dropped again, and then we started our own company, because I'm not going to drop myself. I like to say,
as critical as you are of yourself, you're not going to drop yourself.
I haven't been dropped from a label in 21 years, man. That's a good run. Being on the same label for 21 years, it's a good run. I happen to own the label with my manager, but nevertheless, I like those odds.
Is that nepotism technically?
Everything's nepotism. Come on. I mean, come on. You're a journalist, okay? You know how the Grammys work.
I just meant you owning your own label.
It's a lot of, yeah, of course. If people go, how do I get on your cruise? I'm like, nepotism. I'm like, why? People go, why is this person on the cruise? And I had a hard time going, like, because they're our friend. It's my friend Joanne, and she's great, and I want to hang. You know what I mean?
It's somebody that I don't mind being like holed up in a boat with for several days.
And I try to get everybody on, and there's more requests than there are slots, because I have a certain amount of slots, and I have a certain amount of rooms that I can allocate for the bands. So if you want to bring your 14-piece blues orchestra, get ready to bunk up, because I don't got the rooms for you. And so it's well, I mean, but I'm not saying we don't need a one-man band, but I'm just saying, the music business is nepotism. Show business is nepotism. I mean, you cannot deny that. If you think it's all just an even playing field, and let the better person win, okay? The most talented people, yes, are they going to rise to the top eventually? Absolutely. But do they get an even shelf when they start? No way. You're delusional if you think that way, because life is like that. Yeah, there's no.
That period when it sounds like in the lead up to Blues Deluxe that you were really kind of your career and perhaps your life was at a crossroads. Was there ever a moment when you thought maybe you'd have to do something else?
I tell this to people, and I'm serious about it. I never had a B plan. So when your back is against a brick wall, and rent's due and everything else, you have no other option other than to go forward. And that's why I had 2 chips on my shoulders back in those days. You know, I've been working on myself. I got like a half a chip left. But when your back is against the wall, and then you see your peers become successful, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta figure something out here. You know, I'm happy for my friends, not so happy for me. When your back's against a brick wall, you have no other option than to go forward. If you're leaning up against a pillow top Sealy Posturepedic, okay, and you have some backup plan or another revenue stream, you're not gonna work as hard. Because there's a little thing in the back of your mind going, I'm good. You know, but when it's like homeless or hard work, you know, that's what you gotta do.